New moon in Pisces is officially over, guys. That means we are quickly approaching eclipse season for spring of 2024. We are going into our first eclipse with a lunar eclipse in the sign of Libra, and our solar eclipse will be in the sign of Aries on April 8th. I think it's important that we kind of go over what eclipses mean in astrology so you can apply this to your birth chart and or transiting astrology. So the easiest way to understand eclipses in astrology is really to think of them as new and full moons on steroids. The energy is extremely potent, and the general themes of new and full moons generally apply. You know, you can always kind of tweak it a little bit based on the aspects, of course, of any full moon or new moon, but the general rule of thumb is that they are new and full moons on steroids. Now, to fully understand what eclipses are, you really have to understand the lunar nodes, so the north and the south node. I do have a full video on the lunar nodes over on my YouTube, so go check me out over there if you want to watch that. But right now, our nodes are in Aries and Libra. North node is in Aries, south node is in Libra. But for the context of this video, we're just going to be talking generally. So the lunar nodes are not physical bodies in space, but they are calculation points of where the moon's orbit intersects with the ecliptic. These are also known as our eclipse points. So generally, when you're looking at eclipses, the eclipses are going to fall on the nodal axis, one of the two. That said, we do have off-node eclipses, which sometimes fall into the neighboring sign, which we will have this coming fall when we have our first eclipse in the sign of Pisces, while the nodes are still in Aries Libra. I also like to mention that even though the eclipses are new and full moons on steroids, these are really catalyst events. These are going to set off a catalyst of events that are in relation to where it's happening in your chart and how it's aspected in your chart, but it's not usually going to be one set event that is going to happen around the time of the eclipse. It's going to be a catalyst of events that happen over the next 6-month period as we approach the following set of eclipses. For natal astrology, I always like to look at the prenatal lunar and the prenatal solar eclipses, specifically the lunar eclipse, but both of them are extremely important when you're looking at natal astrology. That is a topic for another video, but it's very interesting to look at, and it can give you an idea of what your soul incarnated here to achieve. Generally, you will hear a lot of astrologers and people in general talking about how eclipses are not a good time to manifest, and I definitely 100% back that up. However, I don't think it's really important to, change up your life in such a way where it's going to be a hassle for you. I just wouldn't initiate anything that's major, like new projects or launching a business or, meeting somebody for the first time or something important like that. Don't get married in between eclipses. Things of that nature, because the energy is so potent, it's basically going to chew it up and spit it back out. The unofficial definition of eclipse off the top of my head is when light is obstructed in some way. So it's basically when the sun, the moon, and the earth are lined up in such a way that there is an obstruction of light. So when we have a solar eclipse, this is going to be sun, moon, earth, and this is going to be more darkness because the moon is obstructing the light from the sun. And when we have a lunar eclipse, this is going to be sun, earth, moon, and it's going to look like a full moon, but it's usually going to have a hint of another color, and it's going to be somewhat brighter, and this can be associated with more light or obstructed light or a different type of light from the moon. I also want to mention, this can make it even more confusing when you're first learning about eclipses, but it's worth mentioning. We do have eclipses that are sometimes inversed, so usually at least one of the eclipse cycles while the nodes are in particular signs are going to be inversed. So that would mean we would have a solar eclipse on the south node, which indicates new beginnings, but the south node talks about things that we're moving away from, so it's inversed. And then the opposite would be a full moon on the north node, or a full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse on the north node. So that would be endings, but it's also something that we're going towards. So there's a paradoxical element to those types of eclipses, but don't read too far into that when you're first learning. All in all, the key note to remember is that eclipses are very potent energy, new and full moons on steroids pretty much, and definitely refrain from starting or launching or initiating anything that's significant in your life because the energy is way too potent and it's going to chew it up and spit it back out and probably not be what you desired it to be. take it from me. But more info on the upcoming eclipses in Libra and Aries in videos soon to come, so keep your eye out for those. Also, guys, remember that Congress is trying to ban TikTok again, so if you guys want to stay in touch, follow me on my other platforms and go sign up for my newsletter. I put a link at the top of my link tree in my bio so we can stay in touch. I really don't want to lose my community, so we're going to hope for the best, but to be on the safe side, sign up for my newsletter and follow my other platforms. I love you.